Hello, my name is Christian Sery-Ble, and I am from Cote-D'Ivoire. I'm also a candidate for the presidential elections. I have submitted my documents for my candidacy to the independent commission. I don't know what they did with it. However, I didn't go to destabilize my country. I wanted to make this clear because I have something to say. You probably saw earlier the picture of people who were laying on the floor, on the ground. They were all dead. These people deserved to live. And I would like to say to all the people who are currently sanctioning the country of Cote d'Ivoire, before we go any further, I would like for you to understand that the country of Cote d'Ivoire belongs first to the people of Cote d'Ivoire. And one day, the people of Cote d'Ivoire, they came together to Cote-D'Ivoire because the French army went to position themselves to kill the president of Cote d'Ivoire, a democratically elected president. The French went to Cote d'Ivoire in Abidjan, positioned themselves 200 yards away from the house of the president, ready to kill him. This young man came out, young boys, young women came out, and the French killed them. I'll show you some of the pictures. This is the certificate of aptitude from one of the snipers who fled when the army of Cote d'Ivoire came on the scene. It's not a joke. We know where we're coming from. And if you know the history of Cote d'Ivoire, you know that for the past 40 years, Cote d'Ivoire has been an oasis of peace. It has been an example for many African countries. Now, why are we going through this? Because someone came to trample over our constitution, our normal way of life. His name is Alassane Dramane Ouattara. Now, Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara twisted the arm of the political leaders and forcing himself into the electoral race. Let me remind you that Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara is the very same man who pledged to destabilize the country of Cote d'Ivoire by threatening President Henri Konan Bédié. He said, I will strike your government and it will fall. And he did. Soon after he did that, there was a coup. Now, if someone does something, says something, and it happened, who is responsible? The first person is him. Now, he came back trying to become a candidate. He was not eligible, and he brought back another social unrest. There was a new president elected in Mr. Laurent Gbagbo, and he threatened again the state of Cote d'Ivoire, saying, I will make this country ungovernable. In other words, I will bring hell. This is a serious matter in the United States. Everywhere, if you make a threat of that nature, you will be run after by the FBI, you will be run after by the CIA, you will be arrested, you will be questioned, you will be jailed. Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara had the privilege to run away, and nobody has questioned him. Now, after doing all these tricks, lying, cheating on the votes, he has positioned himself to become a candidate, and he wants to become the president of Cote d'Ivoire with all this. Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara cannot be the president of Cote d'Ivoire. I am the candidate, and I know how people are scrutinized in the United States and elsewhere. If you are a candidate and your hands are dirty, it doesn't matter if you did your deed 20 years ago, it will come up. Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara has to go through the tunnel of the judicial system in Cote d'Ivoire for what he has said that has led to the killing of the Ivorian people. Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara cannot become the president of Cote d'Ivoire, and I'm urging the United Nations, and I'm urging the African Union, and all the people who are threatening Cote d'Ivoire, the peace of Cote d'Ivoire, to stop doing that. Because the people of Cote d'Ivoire know where they're coming from. They know that they were used to peace. They know that Mr. Alassane Ouattara is fake. And they will not let it go. So, get to the bottom of the issue and stop threatening the people of Cote d'Ivoire, because I know them. They will not give up. I don't know how else to tell you that. But if there were sanctions to be given, the sanctions should have been given when the rebel came to destabilize the country in 2002. The sanctions should have come when the rebel came the first time to throw Mr. Henri Konan out. Now, there's been a president in 2000. The rebel came. No one's sided with the legal leader of the country. Rather, they forced the president to side with the rebels. Now, who are rebels? They are outlaws. Now, we're going to give some grades to the rebels, allow them to do whatever they want to do, and to force their candidate onto an entire population. It was important for me to say this because I've been saying, talking, and saying that the conditions were not conducive to the election being held in Cote d'Ivoire. Since last year, I wrote to the Security Council and I wrote to all the stakeholders saying clearly that there was no way these elections would lead to a clean result. The results are here. Nobody listened to me. We went forward, they went forward, and they came up with this. It's about time that people realize that they stubbornly went into the wall, they made the wrong judgment. Because the sanction that you'll be giving will go against the youth, will go against the elderly, will go against the sick, and it will increase the suffering of the people of Cote d'Ivoire. A result has been given by the higher court, which is the constitutional body that is mandated by law, by the law of the land, to give a final result. Although I was not for the election to be held, but the final decision was to be made either way by the Constitutional Council, which is what was done. Let it be. Let it be. Let everyone accept this simple thing. The United States had some elections with Al Gore and Mr. Bush. The Supreme Court decided and everyone went back to work. The same principle should be applied to Cote d'Ivoire. We are not animals. We are not some lawless people for some people to come and say, well, if the president does not step down, then, well, the country won't run. Why? Mr. Alassane Ouattara is a murderer. He is the reason why we're having this. It's about time that you open your eyes and see clearly and smell the coffee. Mr. Alassane Ouattara came from out of the blue to Cote d'Ivoire. We didn't know him. So enough. 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 We don't go to France and impose to the French a president. We don't go to another country to impose a president. Stop it. Stop it. People have suffered enough. We can't begin to enumerate what we went through. My family was dismantled as a result of this. But I kept my cool all this time. Enough! Sanction, sanction. When did sanctions solve anything? The sanctions should go to the outlaws. Armand Christian Sery-Ble, potential candidate for president elections in Cote d'Ivoire. Let's do what is right, for Christ's sake.